Well, welcome, everyone. This is Jeannie White from Social Connections, and I'm sure everyone's going to wonder where I've been for a while, but I've been busy as a station manager. But tonight I do have a returning caregiver that gives a wealth of information. She's an advocate. She's a consultant. She's a speaker, and she has a lot of information that she's given us previously. So tonight I want to welcome back again Sue Fernandez. Thank you, Sue, for coming back.
Thank you, Jeannie. We appreciate it. Once again, thank you, Jean, Lillian, and Passionate World Talk Radio for the Caregiver series and opportunity to share our stories. I have a few subjects I'd like to talk about today, but first I'd like to shout out happy anniversary to Cam. Much thanks to Betsy Wurtzel and Lori Lepore for starting our Facebook group. We all have the same goal, which is to advise caregivers along their way and help them whenever we can. One of the subjects, Jeannie, I'd like to talk to is the Alzheimer's Association. As you well know, I've been a volunteer for the past 5 years at the Alzheimer's Association. I wanted to give a little information about them, what they do, and things of that sort. I first started at the Alzheimer's Association 5 years ago in the office, and that's where I gained a lot of my information regarding referrals, resources, materials. And from then on, I moved up recently to being a community educator. And what we do is we go out into the community and provide presentations at local churches, schools, events, and conferences. We're currently presenting these topics: understanding Alzheimer's and dementia, 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's, and healthy living for your brain and body. Again, the Alzheimer's Association offers numerous resources and referrals, as well as educational materials from beginning to end stage. Let me share with your listeners some of these resources. Jean, I ended up going to the Alzheimer's Association's office a couple of weeks ago because I was prepping for this interview, and I wanted to share because so many listeners are wondering or they do not go into the Alzheimer's Association. So first, again, I want to share some of the topics and literal paperwork and documents that they have to offer the caregivers. First of all, I want to mention, and some people have talked about this, they offer, it's called a courtesy card, and on it states, it's a little business card, it's the size of a business card, and it states, my companion has dementia and may require extra time. Your understanding is appreciated. In addition, it has our 1-800 number on it and our website on it. So these courtesy cards are available at your Alzheimer's Association. These come in handy, for example, if you go out to dinner and for whatever reason your loved one is acting up. Just give them the card. You don't have to say anything. Just slide the card over to them, walk away, and continue doing what you're doing with your loved one. That's one neat resource. Another resource I picked up from them is we've partnered, the Alzheimer's Association has partnered with AARP called Family Caregiving. And what they do is it's Community Resource Finder. Let me share with you a few things that they have to offer. It says Alzheimer's Association and AARP Community Resource Finder. They're powered by CareLike, which is a database of dementia and aging-related resources. Whether you're beginning your search or exploring other choices, these free online tool makes it easy to find resources in your area, including the following: housing options, care at home, medical services, legal services including elder care law attorneys, community services such as adult day centers, and transportation, just to name a few on this family caregiving with AARP. Here's a sheet here that I call them the cheat sheets, and it's an informational cheat sheet that you can call and request over their 800 number. One of them, it states, conversations about dementia, tips for making difficult conversations easier. Another one we have here, it's titled, Compassionate Communication with the Memory Impaired, the do's and the don'ts and remembers. I have another form here that the Alzheimer's Association has, what can I expect during an evaluation for memory loss or dementia? Okay, on top of that, they have this one I always bring up on a lot of the support groups that I attend, Alzheimer's Association, 101 things to do with a person with Alzheimer's disease, anywhere from house chores to gardening. Another resource they have, they explain to you delirium in Alzheimer's disease. The lists go on and on, Jean. I have probably about 30 other documents here in front of me that the Alzheimer's Association offers for free. All you have to do is call their number, 1-800-272-3900, and a reminder, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. These resources, in addition, they offer free counseling and support groups on a monthly basis. So check them out there. They're in your neighborhood, I'm sure. They are. They have lists of residential care facilities, skilled nursing facilities, assisted living, and memory care facilities in your area. Some locations even offer free respite care. The other thing that I wanted to mention was symptoms that mimic Alzheimer's disease. They're the following: urinary tract infection. Yes, men also get urinary tract infections. Underactive thyroid, vitamin deficiency, B1, B6, B12, folic acid and niacin, and NPH. NPH is normal pressure hydrocephalus. One of the most frequently questions that I get asked in our community education groups is what the difference is between dementia and Alzheimer's. The difference is this, and I'd like to explain it. Dementia is an umbrella term used for all the other terms. For example, Alzheimer's, there's frontal temporal lobe dementia, there's Lewy body dementia, there's a few others. And what they are, the titles that I just mentioned, those various dementias have various symptoms. And let me give you a clear and better understanding. Let's say there's someone with cancer. Well, with cancer, there are various types of cancers. There is skin cancer, kidney cancer. There's, what are some of the other cancers? I'm trying to think. But again, they're all umbrellaed under the word cancer. Same with dementia. Dementia's the title. The names of the dementias are Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is the most prevalent. I think 70% of the people that are diagnosed are diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Then there's Lewy body. Then there's frontal temporal. And then there's some that are mixed. So I wanted to put that out there, and I hope that cleared things up, the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's. There is no cure for Alzheimer's, and the only way that it's a definite diagnosis is if there's an autopsy done on your loved one. There are, however, medications that can help the various symptoms. And I have to tell everybody the medications that are out there, there's no cure for Alzheimer's. There's no cure or a slow progression to Alzheimer's. The medications that are out there, they're out there, and they're only good for a couple of years. They're medications for the symptoms, okay? Again, the Alzheimer's Association is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and their 800 number is 272-3900. That's what's happening at the Alzheimer's Association. As you well know, Gina, we talked recently about me advocating at Sacramento, and we were advocating in reference to the bills AB 2047 and AB 2408. We are asking for commitments from our local assembly members for them making a commitment to look into this new bill that came out. As a matter of fact, the ink isn't even dry on these two new bills. So we are asking for their commitment on these two bills. Another issue I wanted to bring up, Gene, was the importance of second opinions. And I'd like to share with your audience an issue that happened with a good friend of mine. My boyfriend and I were visiting a good friend of mine up north in California, maybe about 3 hours away, and we spent the afternoon with him. And after we had lunch, we walked out of the restaurant, and he was having pains in his chest. And we just kind of thought maybe it was, GERD or something of that sort. So, he was doing better. We left, and I called him a couple days after to follow up to see how he was doing. And he mentioned that, unfortunately, he went to his doctor, and they had mentioned he had, oh, my gosh, now I forgot the name of his ailment. But it was a serious ailment, Jean. And what happened was he wasn't happy with his physician. And he was fortunate, Jean, in that he had, I would say, I call it the Cadillac health insurance plan. He works for the federal government, and he just had some great health insurance. So we talked about his diagnosis from the doctor. He was concerned, and what it was an aortic aneurysm that he had. And apparently these aortic aneurysms, obviously, they grow, right? And it can be anywhere from a 1 to a 5. So his local physician that diagnosed him with that, he was concerned about it, and myself and his wife encouraged him, go get a second opinion, please. And I mentioned, you're just a good hour away from Stanford Hospital. Please go to them and get a second opinion. He says, okay. Carol, his wife, had thanked me for encouraging him to go get a second opinion. And sure enough, he went to Stanford. And again, this is the reason why I'm talking about it, is because he went to get the second opinion. Come to find out, with these aortic aneurysms, like I mentioned, they can be anywhere from a 1 to a 5. If you have a 5, you need to be operated on yesterday. While his physician locally said that he was at a 3.5. Let's wait a while till it gets to about a 4 or 4.5. So in the meantime, as I mentioned, we advocated and we encouraged him to go get a second opinion. He went into Stanford, and from the minute he walked there, he just felt comfortable, he said. They were very helpful and accommodating, and come to find out, they gave him these tests, an echocardiogram, and the physician there mentioned he didn't have a 3.5. He has a 4.5, and we need to get you in like within the month. And sure enough, they gave him a thorough diagnosis, gave him all kinds of tests, and he ended up having surgery just, I'd say, about a week and a half ago. And what we found out, and it was no fault of the physician, but the physician that first diagnosed him didn't have a state-of-the-art machine to take pictures of his aneurysm. Whereas Stanford, well, that's a top hospital. They had more up-to-date equipment, and there was more clarity there. So fortunately for him, that he went in with the second opinion, that he was able to get helped. On top of that, what we found out, Jeannie, was this. The illness that he has, and he's still getting diagnosed because they haven't confirmed his diagnosis, but they have confirmed the fact that he has this aortic aneurysm that needs to be operated on. So they went and operated on him. But come to find out, when his loved ones, his daughters and nieces went to the hospital, he had a unique mutant gene in his system. So when his daughters and siblings went to visit him in the hospital, they offered the family free echocardiograms. Guess what? Come to find out that it runs in the family. And they found out not only does his sister have like a number 4 aortic aneurysm, but his daughter also has one. So again, I encourage everybody, please go get a second opinion. As I mentioned, there were symptoms that mimic Alzheimer's, anywhere from urinary tract infections to normal pressure hydrocephalus. So please go get a second opinion. One of the many issues, let's go back here. I've been reading a book and the name of the book is called The Price We Pay, What Broke American Healthcare and How to Fix It. It's a great book. I encourage everybody to rent it. It just came out in September of last year, and my mouth dropped, and it gave me another view of the health fairs out there in the community. And the reason why I say this is because I'm out there in the healthcare community. I'm out there doing community outreach, educating our community and the public regarding the resources for the Alzheimer's Association. But this physician that wrote the book, his name is Marty McCary. He starts the book off, and he talks about many issues. One of the issues that got my attention, Jean, was he talks about predatory medicine. The book, again, I haven't finished it, so I'll probably talk to you more about it in an upcoming interview. But again, I highly recommend everyone should read the book. Let me give you an example of what he talked about. He had communicated with, a heart specialist, a cardiologist had contacted him and wanted to talk to him. And he mentioned that there were a lot of predatory medicine physicians out there. And he says, well, what are you talking about? And he said, what the new business was stenting of the heart. However, they found out that stents on the hearts weren't as great as medications, the new medications right now. So they've kind of quit doing that. And what they're going into now is vascular procedures. They're doing unnecessary vascular procedures in a fast-growing trend. Prior to that, for decades, the cash cows were heart stents. They found out that heart stents were of no survival benefit. Stenting is replaced now by better medications. In addition to these community fairs that these physicians and clinics are attending, there's no evidence to support screening for peripheral artery disease, which is a blockage in the leg arteries, and then it follows up with a procedure to improve circulation. All these clinics and physicians are at community health fairs, so beware. There are predatory medicine physicians out there. The interesting thing was this doctor literally has been visiting. He's been on the ground floor visiting different health fairs. And he had mentioned that at a couple of the fairs, he was in line to get this test. And he said the interesting thing about it is that one of the ways that you can find out if you have this crippling ailment is if you're experiencing pain. None of them were experiencing pain, but yet these clinics were out there. And he also mentioned that maybe a lot of the elderly people that are going out there, they're anywhere from 65 on up to 95. And he says anybody that age has blockage. So it's just a shame that there are those people out there. So beware when you're going to these community fairs. He ended up going to Carlsbad, New Mexico, and he was doing some more research for his book, and he was just awestruck. So what he ended up doing was he ended up coming back to where he lives in Virginia, next to Washington, D.C. Come to find out, a lot of this predatory medicine was in his own backyard. And it was just appalling how he learned, in addition to the community health fairs, these physicians are communicating with a lot of the churches. And the worst thing yet, Jeannie, is that they're trying to help, so they say, the low-income areas. They just have a goal, and it's just all about money. He also talks about price gouging after a hospital stay. In addition, in his book, he mentions, and I did Google it, I looked it up, he mentions a particular organization created by some of his interns there, and the name of the organization it's called, I'll give you the website, it's called restoringmedicine.org. And it's a website, and it offers resources to address predatory billing, suing and medical overscreening and other unfair healthcare practices in the community. On that website, Jeannie, I did Google it and I looked into it. There are 20 ways to negotiate your bill. So there's a great resource for anybody that's having issues regarding bills. A lot of times, too, on your bills, check them out. They could be the wrong code. They could be a wrong date that they did the procedure on, and that could be easily corrected. There's also an organization called Patient Advocate Foundation. This website is Patient, P-A-T-I-E-N-T, Advocate, ADVOCET.org. On this website are many financial aid funds, including assistance with regards to your billing issues. I'm trying to think here. One other thing I'd like to bring up is I frequently listen to a lot of podcasts. One in particular is called Senior Care Authority. They have many educational guests and resources for the caregiver. Again, I frequently listen to them, and they may not give you your answer, but they will lead you to an answer. And they talk about, they have many guests, anywhere from an attorney who specializes in Medi-Cal or Medicaid to helping others finding facilities for their loved ones. It could be a daycare center that they're interviewing and that they offer their resources. Word of the day is, Jean, retrospective denials. It's when health insurance companies rescind on a pre-authorized test or surgery and you, the consumer, pays the cost. If you've experienced this, be vigilant in your research, as it may be due to a coding error or a incorrect date. So again, you have to be vigilant on your research for correcting these billing issues. My did you know for the day is, did you know that your Medicare health insurance has a benefit called Lifetime Reserves? What this is pertaining to, Jean, it's pertaining to rehabilitation. Your health insurance offers 30 days of rehabilitation for every incident. For example, let's say I go in and I had hip surgery, they'll give me 30 days of rehab, okay, for my hip. So let's say, not 30 days, 90 days. So I go in 6 months later and I have an issue with my arm, and they'll give me 90 days. But it's for different ailments. However, and this is for people, for caregivers with people that are taking care of dementia patients and things of that sort. They may be in and out a different stage, but they need to know, again, they have lifetime reserve stays in a rehabilitation hospital, okay? On mine, I checked mine. This benefit pertains to rehabilitation, and the cost is $704 per day. But they're called lifetime reserve days, and they're an additional 90 days on top of the first 90 days. The only difference is, Jeannie, is that, for example, if my loved one was in rehab for 90 days and I wanted to utilize the lifetime reserve days, let's say for 30 more days on his hip replacement, that means I still have 60 more days to utilize on that hip issue. Now, if it goes into my wrist, if I'm having issues on that, same thing there. But a lot of people are not familiar with the lifetime reserve days. If you want more information, obviously contact your health insurance company or call Medicare. They, too, are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and their number is 1-800-MEDICARE for more information. And that's it for now, Jean.
Wow, Sue, that was some good information. Really.
Thank you.
Like I don't know, does many people know about that restoration Medicare?
No, and I'll tell you why, because this doctor who wrote the book, his interns started this group because they were so angry with the gouging with the incorrect medicine out there, not medicine, incorrect diagnosis. What I also found out, Jeannie, was the tests that they're providing on the community, this test is no longer authorized because it does not validate the tests. So it's just, horrific. And like I said, I've only read the first, 60 pages, and I will continue to finish it. But again, I highly recommend the public to go out and rent it. I'm renting it. The name of the book is The Price We Pay, and it's by Marty McCary. It's an outstanding book. I've learned so much from it.
I mean, really, it's really a wealth of information. It just shows you how much we really don't know. Predatory physicians, I never would have thought about that. Thinking that they put you through numerous things. So it's just, this is why coming on and telling so many different things is so important. Like the free courtesy card.
Right. Is that neat or what? Who would have thought of that?
Such a neat thing, in case you're taking them to a restaurant and, maybe they'll be a little edgy or, talking or whatever they're doing. And if you just kind of pass the card to the waiter or the waitress, and then they will understand what's happening and they can handle it.
Right. Exactly.
I just think it's terrific. It really is.
Well, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk about the Alzheimer's Association, because that's what they're there for. And there's all kinds of, I just named maybe 10 resources and documents, but I probably have another 50 in front of me that I can go off on. And people don't utilize the Alzheimer's Association. They don't know either, and even physicians don't know. As I mentioned, we advocated at Sacramento a couple of weeks ago, and the physicians have such a lack of information about the ailments and things of that sort. So that's why we're advocating.
Yeah. Do people understand that they can go to them? I'll put it down on the blog about really,
that they can go to who?
The Alzheimer's Association.
Oh yeah, I like I said, I'm on several other Facebook groups, and I immediately tell them, contact them for your resources and referrals. This is their number. This is their website. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't know what it is. Some people I think they just don't think they need the care or want to reach out. Or another thing is they're afraid to, for fear of, learning the actual diagnosis. And I understand that too. I really do. I did a community education event the other day, and someone had mentioned that his son was experiencing these symptoms and blah, blah, blah. They talked to their physician, and the physician says, okay, but if you bring him in here, I'm going to have to diagnose him. And if he's diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I have to report it to the driver's license, the DMV. Well, he didn't want to do that, which is really sad.
Because he wants to drive.
Yeah, right. But in the meantime, this kid gets in an accident and kills someone. How fair is that?
It's not fair either.
Right. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
It's like anything. Like as you get older, you're always afraid to give up that license. It's
the independent control.
Yeah, it's the independence that you have when you're driving a car. So part of me can understand it, but another part can't. Depending on how bad is it? Can they still? There are some, when they get in the beginning stages, they can still function.
Right.
But then it's hard to say when they stop having the function to be able to coordinate a car.
But I think the sooner you learn about your Alzheimer's or whatever dementia you have, and the better prepared you get. Right away everybody talks about, and it's true, get that power of attorney for health and power of attorney for finances.
Yes.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but I had a friend that it was my mom's best girlfriend, and after Mom passed away, her and I kept in contact. A very nice person. And unfortunately, she had a daughter that had cancer. She was married to an attorney. The daughter was married to an attorney. Guess what? They didn't have a power of attorney in place. And my friend, Stella, mentioned they went through hell because they did not have that power of attorney in place. And they ended up spending more money than they should have because they had to go in and do the paperwork. And, it was just went on. The paperwork went on and on and on. But he was an attorney and didn't even have this done.
Well, I suppose an attorney would know better. But
right.
Again, we all live that false hope that nothing's going to happen. Or even if you do get a diagnosis of some form of dementia, you think you got plenty of time, when in actuality you really don't. But until you put into that position, I know that that you've talked about it a lot. Masha's talked about it a lot. Christina has, and quite a few of the other ones. Obviously Betsy, But it's like we turn a blind eye, saying, "Oh, that could not happen." I have a long time before I have to really worry about paperwork or, power of attorney and your medical advocacy for you. You just never think it's going to happen to you, or it's just a false hope we all have, I guess. Really.
Right. You're right.
It's unfortunate. But I also wanted to talk to you about. I've heard about these, the patientadvocate.org. I've heard about that, and that's a pretty good site.
Yes, it's free. In addition, I got this off of that physician's book, and I went to the website, and that's where he had that organization on there. He also had, and I didn't write them in here on this information, he also had a couple of names of other organizations that will advocate for you regarding billing issues, but I didn't write them down. But those two other organizations, they would charge you a fee. And sometimes people do have the money to pay the fee to advocate for them.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of I didn't mention it, but in the book, though, Gene, he went on and was talking about what is it? Oh my gosh, he wanted to talk about the gouging. How he mentioned there was a friend of a friend had gone to Vail, Colorado, and they were skiing, and he ended up having some chest pains. So he went into the ER. And so before the physician saw him, the nurse went up to him and whispered in his ear, "Listen, I think this is what you have. It's high altitude. You're having issues. What you need to do is you need to go home and just take it easy and drink a lot of water. Your system has to get acclimated." So he left, but he continued not to feel well. So he ended up going into the ER, and they gave him the same diagnosis, although the difference was they gave him a little oxygen. They told him to go home and relax. Well, what this doctor mentioned, that procedure that hospital did, he says anywhere it would be like about $810. Do you know what the hospital charged them? $8,000.
$8,000?
Yes. So fortunately for me, I did read this doctor's first book, and it's called Unaccountable, Gene, and he is so open, and he's a doctor. He's just a fantastic doctor. He's a big advocate, period. And his first book is about being transparent on pricing for medical care. So that's where he started. Well, with me, in my view, with that book on Unaccountable, again, he gives you a lot of information, but it got my attention. I forgot. I think it was posted on Facebook, and they even had an interview with him on Facebook, and it was from another state, and again, they're talking about his book, and he's talking about the predatory medicine as well as the gouging. And in the book, he also mentions, don't let other people convince you about, the hospitals have to pay this extra money for people that can't afford it, and that's why their prices are going up. The insurance companies are talking about we have to raise our prices because medicine's going up. He says that's a bunch of malarkey. He says it's just their reason for increasing the prices.
Yeah,
he says we can do a better job for that. He said he literally went into a closed-door meeting with about 10 hospital chiefs as well as insurance companies, and they were sitting there pointing the fingers. And it was a bunch of malarkey. In addition, this is another thing that he found out that is just running rampant. Do you know these hospitals that claim to be doing charity care, they're turning around and they're suing their patients for lack of payment. And they're not offering the charity care. And the funny thing is, Jean, which is even more striking, is that do you know what % of revenue they get out of suing their patients? It's only 1%, Jean. Only 1%, and they're turning around suing their patients. He mentioned because he's spreading the word, and he's in communication with a lot of his other chiefs of hospitals. He goes out of state to different meetings. He's talking to them. He's doing research on this book. And a lot of the surgeons aren't even aware of the pricing. The billing is a totally different department.
Oh, sure it is. They have no control.
Yeah, and the surgeons don't know that. And some of them are, being totally turning their head, and some aren't. He mentions a few that weren't. And he says, I don't care if my name is in this book or not. He says, this stuff has to stop. It has to stop. It's just going rampant. So, again, that's why I wanted to speak on this subject as well as,
definitely.
Again, we have to advocate. You have to speak up. Don't just, if your gut feeling is telling you differently, go with your gut feeling. It's not telling you wrong.
Well, this is a doctor that everyone needs, really.
Oh, definitely.
And that he is being a true advocate for the
and it's an easy read. It's an easy read. It's not all medical terms or boring or put you to sleep. I mean, if I had more time, I'd probably be done with the book. But I've been doing other things in between, and I just can't wait to get at the end of the book. He does give a good example on the other side, in that he brings up examples of some good companies that are dealing with handling their own health insurance. And this company, obviously I'm thinking, because he didn't go into details, but there was a small business that was offering health care to their employees. And he says, okay, the employees, they were having babies and things of that sort. And there were 2 hospitals in this area. And for pregnancies, deliveries, they ran from one hospital for $8,000. The other hospital charged $40,000.
Oh, my God.
Unless
to have a baby?
Unless there's complications, they're all standard that way, okay? What he said was, what this business owner did, he said, okay, I'm going to pay your health insurance, he says. So what he did, which was a great idea, not your health insurance, was it health insurance or I'm going to pay your health bills. What he did was he told the employees, this is what I'm going to do. If you go to this physician and you're having a baby, we'll throw in a year's worth of diapers and wipies if you go to this hospital. That will charge him $8,000. Now, you can go to the other hospital, but we encourage you to go to this one. Guess who got the more attention?
Obviously the $8,000 one.
Yes. That's how much of a price difference there is. And it's sad. It's just a sad state of affairs.
I think, don't you think these hospitals get so big that there's so many bullets out there to pay for the upkeep or having a staff or handling different things, different departments. They get so big that they don't realize how much money
right
they're going to have they're paying out.
Well,
for what
and
reason?
let's talk.
I just don't understand it.
I know it's just crazy. In addition, and I knew this several years ago, and I had the names of the laws, but a while ago, and I know this, he even mentions that these hospitals, in order for them to be a nonprofit or have that charity care, what they do is they will go in and they'll request money from the government to do an expansion on their hospital or to do a new hospital, right?
Right.
But on that expansion, they agree to give a certain percentage of charity care.
There's so many patients to come in a year or something, right?
Right, but that's their giving back to the community.
Yeah.
But yet you hear these hospitals talk about, oh, the charity care, we're swamped, we're paying this, that, and whatever. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. It's just a lot of finger pointing. And unless you really know the truth, like I said, this doctor I think should be in every state.
I think these hospitals, though, they have so many different professions. They are doing different things, and I understand. We have to understand too. Sometimes the equipment's very expensive, so it's like a numbers game.
It is. It really is. And unfortunately, like it's affecting the less fortunate.
Yeah, the ones that really can't afford it. They really can't afford it.
Right. Then we have that in our own backyard with these so-called community health fairs. Like I said, next time I go into one of these health fairs, believe you me, my eyes are going to be wide open. I am going to grow eyes in the back of my head because that's just horrific. That is just horrific.
I don't go to health fairs. I go mostly to holistic ones.
Right.
Those are the ones I go to. But the other ones, it's just not worth it to me. I guess I don't.
Yeah.
First of all,
everybody's different, Jean.
Yes, they're giving off an opinion that these tests were going to help you, but maybe you didn't need the test in the beginning to begin with.
Right.
So you have these people taking all these tests that they may not need.
Right, exactly.
What it comes down to is the medical community. It's broken, absolutely broken.
Oh, right. Well, and the title, like I said, is called The Price We Pay.
Oh, sure.
And underneath it states what broke American health care and how to fix it.
But I'm sure people we're not going to be willing to fix it. I bet you dollars they won't.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lose their finances, whatever it is, their pay scale, whatever it is they're going to, so that goes in. And they're always looking at that bottom line, how much money is coming in because they have to pay X, Y, and Z,
Right. I know.
But this is why I love you to come on. I really do, because of the wealth of information that you give. I'll give off a lot of this information, about it.
Yeah, well, again, we're here to help the caregivers and educate them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Speak up, get a second opinion. Yeah. There are a lot of resources out there to help you and educate the caregivers to help them out.
Anything just to help out. Unfortunately, it just weeds out the people that most need the health care, don't get it. There's where that suffer,
Listen, and I may be repeating myself, but
okay.
I don't know if I mentioned, I wanted to give a shout-out. Happy anniversary to Cam. Much thanks to Betsy and Lori. It's a year anniversary.
Can you believe a year?
I know. And thanks to them who started the Facebook support group. She's telling it like it is, and she's doing great on her chatting with Betsy.
Yeah, she's doing wonderful with that series, that show of hers that she's doing. And plus with her page on Facebook, Cam, I mean.
Right.
I've read some of the articles of some of the people that are on there, and it's absolutely fabulous,
Yes,
and
definitely.
That particular group that I see is really out there to help the other ones. But I think it's terrific. And then that's how
Yes.
it works. That's how you get the information out, little by little,
Right.
And then you find out which pages are really good to be with, to associate
Mm-hmm.
yourself with,
What you feel comfortable with and things of that sort.
Right, yeah, but that's
Right.
terrific. I mean, I think we've come a long way, in a year, for all of us.
Yes, definitely.
Where we started, we were already started everything, and we've just, excelled it more now. So,
right.
You're really out there, especially on Facebook, and really around the world. Actually, look at the people in England that you associate with, that they're doing major things over there in England with dementia and Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of people working in a lot of different places, and it all starts with the grassroots.
It does, Jeannie, and thank you for contacting Betsy, and it rippled on, and they contacted, I volunteered to speak about my personal experience, as well as Marcia and Christina and Lori. Everybody has a story, and we just
Maria,
want to help the other caregivers. She's a beautiful person. Yes. Maria.
And what she does, where she is, and what she, how she provides for the patients and the families, and it's it's really just a great environment that she has there.
She's a natural. You could tell.
Oh gosh,
Maria and her group is just a natural.
Yes. So there are many out there. Cassidy's another. What Cassidy does. She's out there in California with you. So there's many that are playing a part on what's happening here and bringing it more out to the main arena, getting it out and maybe having people pay attention. Say we're not going away, we're here.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
look at I don't want to have any more. I mean, I could talk to you forever, Sue. Honest to God, it's just so good. But you're more than welcome. If you have follow-ups or if you get more things you want to talk about, I'll always do it. It's not an issue.
I thank you. We thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah,
again,
it's not a problem.
We wouldn't be out here without you, with your voice, with your you and Lillian and the Passionate World Talk Radio. Thank you again for all the services.
This is a labor of love. It really is. We've all been touched with, the dementia / Alzheimer's. This year, January is not a good month for me, but anyways, my two friends, one passed away. It's a year this past January, and my other best friend was 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think that's how it works. Wait a second, it's 2 years. I tell you, the time goes so by. I think it's 2 years and 3 years now. So they've been gone. So we've all touched. We're all being touched with it. So we just do what we can and make the ripple work. Throw that stone out there and let it happen, and it'll be good. But I want to thank you again, Sue, for being on. I truly appreciate it. And Sue will be back with more information, and I will have a blog out there for you probably in the next couple of days and all the information on there. So grab a pencil and paper, folks. Sit down with a cup of coffee and listen to it, because Sue has a wealth of information on this particular one also. And I'll put the book out there, the cover of the price we pay for this doctor, so people can see it. All right?
Please.
So we can do that.
Yes.
Yeah. No problem. Well, again, Sue, thank you very much. Are there any parting words before we close?
No, Jean, there aren't. Thank you for all your time and efforts in putting this on air for us.
Yeah, my pleasure, really. Well, thank you, Sue, for coming on in sunny California. And me, Jeannie White from Dedham, Massachusetts. And this is Social Connections on Passionate World Talk Radio, and you'll hear us again. Have a great evening or day, whatever you are. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Truly appreciate it. Bye now.